Darth, Theorist, rise.
What if the Force revived Palpatine and sent him back to Episode 1? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Before we begin, shout out to our channel Sith Lords. Sith Lord 906, a unique name, Elizabeth Calvert, Danish Dragon, Truest Man, Lux, Will Moore, Luke Wright, Galdwin, Lewis Perkins, 161 Zeta, Joyce Lucia, Enix Shadill, MacJack 984, and Kalrex Averin. We appreciate you. Shmi feels the temperature in the room drop as a figure steps through a doorway of their little shop. She glances around nervously and sees that the other patrons must feel the same way. They instinctively shift away from him, allowing the stranger to pass. Though his hood covers most of his face, the young woman can tell he is neither strong nor large, yet the other people regard him with the same wary respect reserved for the Hutt's top enforcers. When Watto, ignorant of the changing atmosphere, tries to approach him and asks what he wants, the man waves him off.
I know what I want. I do not require you to help me find it.
The Toydarian gets the hint and floats off to berate another customer while Shmi tries to look busy. From the corner of her eyes, she can see the figure approaching her, and her heart catches in her throat. It freezes there when he places a hand on her shoulder.
We have much to discuss, young one.
The two of them head to the back room, where Palpatine hands her over a datapad bearing a warning of rogue Jedi and a fugitive princess. It is an official statement from the Trade Federation, marking them as criminals and offering a generous bounty on their heads.
Why are you telling me this?
Because there is more they are not telling you. They might call themselves Jedi, but these men are slavers. There is a reason the Trade Federation occupied Naboo. The Queen is mad. There are rumors she wishes to take young boys as her slaves, and that the Jedi also claim those they like to be introduced to their order. They rip them from the Outer Rim. My sources tell me that they may wish the same for your young son.
How do you know about that?
Because I am one who has seen their corruption firsthand. I know how they operate, and I know how they drape themselves in a veil of righteousness. You cannot allow it to blind you. You must keep your child safe. You will keep your child safe from the Jedi.
I will keep my child safe from the Jedi.
Palpatine smiles to himself. The seed has been planted, and soon he shall harvest it. He continues to press Shmi and Watto alike, filling their heads with horror stories of the Jedi, highlighting their callousness and detachment. Most of them are true enough, simply exaggerated and tweaked for his liking. Yet for people far removed from the Republic's influence, stories like that are their only frame of reference. By the end of their conversation, both are convinced the Jedi are some vile slavers protecting a corrupt queen. And with that, and a handsome payment as insurance, as well as a transmitter to contact them, the senator walks away with the boy, whom they convince to send him away for his protection. As Palpatine departs, he lets the folds of his cloak slip slightly to let him see their lightsaber on his belt. It is far from the first place Palpatine visits. He offers such warnings to the Hutts and other authorities. Thankfully, Newt Gunray's documents lend him the appearance of legitimacy. Though the Republic's influence might be limited here, the Trade Federation's credits know no such limits. He had no idea how he has returned to this spot. The last thing the Sith remembered was falling to his death, and yet when he woke up, he found himself not in the ruins of the Death Star, but in his old Senate office. While he tried meditating and understanding what happened, Palpatine soon realized he didn't care. All that matters is he is here, and that presents him with the opportunity to make things right and create the real Empire. By the time Qui-Gon's party arrives, the anti-Jedi sentiment in the area is palpable. Even when they travel in disguise, they hear whispers and rumors of Jedi kidnappers here, and the pair realize just how dangerous this place is. The elder Jedi closes his eyes and considers this. He had expected pushback, but this sort of thing was unprecedented. Rather than discourage him, Qui-Gon lets the fear flow freely in the air, riding the emotions like currents out of a river. He is careful as the emotions begin to chip away at his resolve, but he prepares himself and tries to follow it back to its source. And there, he finds it, in a small junk shop at the corner of the city. When they enter, the Toydarian shop owner immediately narrows his eyes at them. He says they cannot serve them while Shmi contacts the Hutts.
Look, Toydarian, we don't have time for delays. Our ship requires immediate repairs, and we have no time to waste.
Do I look like a mechanic to you?
You're greasy enough to be one.
What did you say, young one? With a mouth like that, you'll end up in chains here at Tatooine. Mark my words.
Obi-Wan, enough. If you cannot help us, then we apologize for wasting your time. But we'll be taking our business elsewhere.
He takes his student and guides him away, Padme following after as she had remained in the corner with Panaka. Yet as they cross one of the intersections, they begin to see a group of Weequays approaching them, accompanied by a gulping Gamorrean. When they move to avoid them, a pair of bounty hunters approach from either side, and then a group of Rhodians. Within seconds, they are surrounded, and one of the thugs holds up a statement released by Newt Gunray, calling for their arrest and describing them as slavers.
Fools. Shows what you know about the Jedi.
That's enough. Listen, gentlemen. I seek no quarrel with you. We are not who you think we are, and even if we were, I'd advise not fighting us. Let us put aside this violence and go our separate ways.
I do not think so, Jedi. How about you throw up your weapons before your little friends here get killed?
It seems we cannot reach a compromise then. Very well.
He nods, and both Jedi have their lightsabers out just as blaster fire fills the air. The two press close to Padme to protect her, and redirect blaster fire just as Panaka fires his blaster. One thug screams and clutches his chest as he's struck. Obi-Wan directs a blaster bolt into a man's chest while Qui-Gon uses the Force to throw a group of thugs aside. One Weequay curses and rushes in with a vibro pike and jabs it at him. The pair sidestep the attack and kicks him aside, but more come with axes and knives, forcing Qui-Gon to fight them off while the Gamorrean approaches Obi-Wan. The Padawan tries to swing at him and manages to sever his axe, but the Gamorrean grabs him by the collar and throws him aside. Obi-Wan hits the ground with a gasp, looking to see the warrior approaching Panaka and Padme. Obi-Wan leaps to his feet and strikes the Gamorrean with a roundhouse kick at the back of his head. He stumbles forward as the Jedi throws a few quick jabs at his chest that keep the guard down. When he tries to grab at his legs, Obi-Wan jerks back and steps on his fingers. As the pigman howls in pain, he finishes with an uppercut that knocks the thug out. Yet, when he looks around, he sees the rest of the guards on the floor as Qui-Gon deactivates his lightsaber. Glancing at his student, he nods in approval.
Impressive, but that still only counts as one.
The Jedi leave the city, but eventually find a mechanic in equally bad standing with the Hutts who offers them help. His work is shoddy, but enough to get them back to Coruscant. As they prepare to depart, Qui-Gon spares a glance towards this planet. He feels the Force tugging at him again, trying to warn him about something. And yet, for the time being, he must focus on the mission and climb aboard the ship. Back on Coruscant, they report everything that happened in their mission, including the data containing the releases, marking the declaration of Padme and the Jedi as wanted men. This development is a disturbing one, and many demand answers from the Trade Federation, which did this without Republic authority.
This report only marks them as persons of interest. It says nothing of these claims of corruption or of the Jedi being slavers. Surely that is simply the result of a rumor mill. The Trade Federation cannot be blamed for that. That may be the case, and yet they have placed bounties on the Jedi as if they were common criminals, all without Republic consultation. Are we simply to allow corporations to declare our citizens criminals when they wish? We have not said a thing about them being criminals. I have read the report myself, and it simply marks them as people wanted by the Trade Federation. And why would we not want them? We were supposed to negotiate, and yet the Jedi left the planet.
A planet you occupied.
Be that as it may, we have broken no laws to demand that they be brought to the Trade Federation or ask for information. While I do offer my sincerest sympathies to the Jedi and their young queen for such a harrowing ordeal, the blame lies squarely on the Hutts. They have long flouted Republic law and behave little better than savages.
To that, many senators begin to roar their approval, rallying behind the Trade Federation. In the end, the momentum that Padme was building up is stolen right under them. She glances at Valorum, who appears helpless, as a new proposal to form a committee to investigate this matter. This leaves the Republic impotent, and Padme fuming. Palpatine is quick to take advantage of the situation and approaches the young queen.
You see how the Republic truly works. How impotent our Chancellor is in the face of pushback.
So what can be done? Are we simply to wait here for them to drag their feet with every step?
I sense your frustration, my queen. That is why I offer a solution. A vote of no confidence.
You mean to oust the Chancellor? Now of all times? Wouldn't that throw the Republic into chaos?
For a moment, but when the smoke clears, we may get a man who can handle the difficulties of ruling with far more power.
Padme frowns and considers this. Palpatine smiles and listens to how she slowly comes around. By the end of their conversation, she has been won over, and Palpatine relaxes in his chair. Now is the time for the next step, to remove those who might pose a threat to his plans. As he considers that, his holodisc begins to beep, and he sees it is from the transmitter he left with Shmi. Now that the Jedi were driven off, she no doubt thinks it is safe for Anakin to be returned to her. Instead, he sends these coordinates to Maul to kill this story before it can get out. Meanwhile, the Senate is in chaos, while the Jedi organize emergency meetings to try and make sense of everything that has been happening. This mission has become more and more confused and twisted with every new development. Now, the Jedi Order tries to find the clearest path moving forward. They meet every day to try and figure out their next move, but so far struggle to find the right answer. It is as if things are being shrouded and someone is pulling a veil over their eyes. But one person who does not attend these meetings is Qui-Gon. While the Jedi Council discuss the political situation, he consults the Force itself. Under the trees in the Jedi Temple's gardens, he clears his mind and tries to concentrate. Taking a few deep breaths, he recalls the feeling of fear on Tatooine. It was the people's fear, no doubt, but something felt off about it. Something was tugging at it, manipulating it, and directing it. As he meditates, the sensation comes back to him, pulling at Qui-Gon as if to warn him about it. He cannot shake that feeling and begins to suspect that it was what he must investigate. Yet, when he presents these findings to the Jedi Council, they seem less certain. They recall the altercation that took place on the planet the last time they were there and question whether it is prudent. They instead advise Qui-Gon to focus on the mission and prepare for the vote. Among those voices who lend their support is Dooku, who urges Qui-Gon to stick to the mission. They are in a dangerous situation and cannot risk being distracted by anything else. However, the young Jedi is not deterred and leaves with Obi-Wan while the vote is taking place, so that he is not breaking any rules. By the time he arrives, night has fallen on the planet, leaving darkness to mask their approach. The two scale a wall and slip through the streets that are now only populated by criminals and drunks. As he steps onto the street, Qui-Gon orders Obi-Wan to stay back and closes his eyes, letting the Force guide him yet again. A surge of fear flows outward, sending him back a step. It is not the overwhelming current that he encountered last time, but a concentrated sense of darkness in one place. He takes off in that direction, leaving Obi-Wan to follow after, back to Watto's shop. Outside, they find the Tordarian dead on the ground, his neck crushed and his eyes wide with surprise. The door was smashed open, and from the inside, a voice screams, followed by the hum of a lightsaber. Qui-Gon wastes no time and bursts inside. There he sees Darth Maul advancing towards Shmi, swinging his lightsaber around and tossing aside workbenches and tables as he advances towards the woman. As the last of her cover is pushed aside, Maul raises his saber staff and prepares to bring it down. At the last second, Qui-Gon steps in his path and blocks the blow, directing it towards the side. Cursing, Maul sweeps his weapon and swings the other end at him. The Jedi ducks and catches the backswing before throwing a sweeping cut. Their duel now begins in earnest as they rush at each other, weapons flashing. When Qui-Gon comes again, Maul leaps up under his low swing and tries to bring his lightsaber down. Although Qui-Gon blocks it, he feels the heat of the blade against his skin. Maul kicks him back and jabs his lightsaber forward, leaving him jerking his head aside. The Night Brother twists his weapon and slashes it at his side, scoring a shallow blow. Qui-Gon hisses in pain and clutches the injury. Before Maul can follow up, the doors open and Obi-Wan steps inside. He gives a flying kick that throws the warrior back. He wastes no time in pressing the attack and slashes down at Maul, who intercepts each strike with ease. Still, it is enough for Qui-Gon to regain his bearings and come at him again. With the Jedi attacking from both sides, the Sith warrior begins to feel the pressure. And then there's the sound of voices from outside. Angry voices, the thugs who rule Tatooine's streets. Maul spares them a glance and curses. While he can defeat them, it will take time and draw attention to himself, something he was told not to do. Instead, he throws a force push that sends both Jedi back before leaping out the window and disappearing into the night.
What was that thing?
That was a Sith. The real question is, what was he doing here after you?
Shmi hears the voices getting closer. She can already see the outlines of the people who prepare to investigate. Hurrying to the back, she opens a hidden side door for them to escape. As they slip back from the rear, Shmi begins to explain everything that happened, how Palpatine had come to her, saying how the Jedi were coming to steal her child away. As she speaks and describes how he compelled her to give up Anakin, he begins to understand that they are not dealing with the Trade Federation. This is the Sith. The one that had attacked them was no doubt his apprentice.
Can you describe what the man who approached you looked like?
He kept his face hidden the whole time. I suppose he looked rather odd. That, and he had this incredible aura around him. It was enough to intimidate anyone he came across. Wait, he had a lightsaber.
A lightsaber? Can you describe it?
Shmi nods and begins to explain the design and shape of the weapon, but while her description is concise, it only confuses the pair further. They had never encountered a weapon of that design. Qui-Gon decides the best course of action is to consult Master Huyang and asks if it matches any description. Once they are out of Mos Espa, Qui-Gon considers their next course of action. It is clear that the Sith wish to silence Shmi, and she will need to be protected. However, he suspects that taking them back to Coruscant would be too risky. If the Sith is a former Jedi, he might learn of their presence. Instead, he decides to take Obi-Wan and Shmi to Mandalore, where she can hide with Duchess Satine, who remains friendly with Obi-Wan. In the end, Padme called for a vote of no confidence, and won by a landslide, granting power to Sheev Palpatine, who becomes the new Chancellor and resolves to end the Naboo crisis as decisively as possible. However, Qui-Gon realizes the situation requires the Jedi's attention as well, and contacts them to consult with them. When he gives his report to the Jedi Council, they all look at one another in disbelief.
The Sith Lord, that is what you were telling us, attacked you.
It is the only explanation for our attack on Tatooine and why they targeted this woman. They are planning something, and that family has something to do with it.
But why now of all times? What do they have to gain?
I am not certain, but this matter cannot be ignored. We must take a closer look.
And yet the Naboo crisis remains. The situation threatens to destabilize the Republic if we allow it to grow.
Perhaps this is why the Sith have decided to strike now, to catch us while we are distracted.
Dangerous this situation is. Yet long we have feared the rise of the Sith. Ignore it now, and they may become unstoppable. Very well, Master Qui-Gon. Investigate this matter you must. Sent to Naboo, another shall be.
Master Huyang looks through the records of all lightsabers ever created, but based on the description that Qui-Gon gives, he cannot find any weapon that matches. That means the Sith they are dealing with is someone they have never encountered before. Night blankets Tatooine, the air thick with smoke and the stench of spice. Qui-Gon Jinn walks through the alleys of Mos Espa with his cloak drawn tight, ignoring the rumors whispered by drunks and mercenaries. Those have little interest in him, nor do the small-time crooks who spread them. He knows he will not get much from them, so instead he turns his attention to those in charge. The Hutt Palace is no less imposing under starlight. Gamorreans grunt as they pull open the gates, allowing the Jedi inside. Qui-Gon strides through the halls until he stands before Jabba himself. The slug lounges atop his dais, smoke curling from a hookah pipe, eyes gleaming with amusement as if he already knows what the Jedi wants.
I seek the truth behind the rumors of Jedi as slavers and who spread them. However, I know the Hutts are too small to believe such rumors. You seek profit, not fear. So I wish to know who spread these rumors. If you comply, I can see that the Jedi might consider aiding you in the future.
Jabba rumbles with laughter, the sound shaking the chamber.
The great Jabba commends your boldness and your wit. Yes, someone came, spoke of slavers, offered credits, documents, fine words, fine clothes.
And a lightsaber.
Indeed, but they did a good job keeping it hidden. The mighty Jabba was not able to get a good look at his weapon, but he was able to glimpse the wearer's robes. It was fine quality, silk found only from the silkworms of Naboo.
The word hits Qui-Gon like a blade. Naboo. His mind turns at once to Senator Palpatine. He pictures the rich fabrics, the proud patterns of Theed's nobility. Pieces fall into place faster than he would like. Now, the Chancellor.
You have my gratitude.
Turning swiftly, Qui-Gon leaves the hall. His steps echo down the passage as he makes for the streets, already planning his report to the council. But as the desert winds brush his face, the shadows stir, and from them steps a figure. Qui-Gon pulls out his lightsaber and looks up at the arrival, glimpsing his clothes and frowning. The dark fabric does not hide the subtle patterns of Naboo.
Show yourself, Chancellor. I know it is you.
Palpatine pulls his hood down. The elder man's smile is serene, but his eyes glint like sharpened glass.
Of all the Jedi, you alone have the wit to follow the trail back to me. That is why you must not live to share it.
So it was you all along.
Do not mistake intelligence for wisdom, Master Jin. If you had stayed blind like the rest, you might have survived.
Red fire blossoms in his hand as he draws his own weapon. He notices the design, the same as that of the weapon in question. Their blades crash in the silence of the desert. Qui-Gon presses forward, strong and steady, his movements disciplined. He uses every scrap of Jedi training, pressing Palpatine. He strikes quickly, then darts back when the Sith counters, before attacking at his flanks. It keeps Palpatine on his toes, forcing him to defend against each attack, yet he does not appear worried. Instead, he actually begins to laugh as he suddenly springs into movement. Qui-Gon's eyes widen as he watches the Chancellor move with blinding speed, lashing out and sweeping his lightsaber into the sand, sending particles into the air. Thinking quickly, the Jedi Master hurls them at his eyes. The Chancellor screams and rubs his eyes as Qui-Gon tries to strike at him. But, though blinded, Palpatine continues to block his attacks, relying solely on the Force to provide sight. Still, it does not stop Qui-Gon, who continues to press down on him. His lightsaber flashes, but Palpatine's hand shoots forward and unleashes lightning. The Jedi screams as he's thrown back from the assault and falls to his knees, electricity still coursing through him. This gives Palpatine the chance to clear his vision and advance upon him. The Jedi rallies, thrusting upward, almost breaking through Palpatine's guard, but the Chancellor twists aside, seizing Qui-Gon's wrist and drives his crimson blade deep into his chest. Qui-Gon gasps, the desert stars spinning above him. Palpatine leans close, voice a whisper of triumph.
You were right to trust the living force, but it cannot save you from me.
He wrenches the blade free. Qui-Gon collapses into the sand, his light extinguished. Palpatine watches him die, then pulls his hood back over his face and vanishes into the night. But while Qui-Gon dies alone, the Jedi and Naboo have more success. Palpatine organizes a response, and a task force sent by the Jedi Council under the command of Mace Windu manages to secure Naboo and capture Nute Gunray. This brings the crisis to a quick end, just as he had hoped. Palpatine is the first to celebrate this victory, thanking the brave Jedi for their support in this endeavor, yet privately finishes taking care of the last loose ends. Mandalore's night sky is clear above Sundari. Inside one of the palace's quieter quarters, Shmi sits by a window, hands folded in her lap, listening to the distant hum of the city. Obi-Wan keeps watch nearby, his lightsaber never far from his mind. Suddenly, Obi-Wan straightens. "Did you hear that?" Before Shmi can answer, the lights flicker. A shadow peels itself from the wall, eyes burning yellow in the half-dark. Maul steps forward, horns glinting, his double-bladed lightsaber igniting with a savage hiss. Shmi gasps, stumbling back. Obi-Wan's blade flashes to life, interposing himself between her and the assassin.
"You'll not touch her."
You are far from your master, little Jedi. Tonight, you both die.
Red and blue collide in a storm of sparks. Obi-Wan fights desperately, holding back Maul's attacks as he rains down blows. The Sith Lord laughs as his lightsaber whirls around. He's already slaughtered the guards outside, leaving them alone. Obi-Wan watches the Sith loom over him, the power emanating from him, but he does not allow himself to be intimidated. He instead stands over and grips his lightsaber to block his next strike. Rather than back down, the Jedi springs forward, trying to contain Maul's furious whirlwind of strikes. Each blow rattles his arms, forcing him to yield ground. Shmi watches in terror, pressing herself against the wall as the duel tears the room apart. A table splits in two under a stray strike, and glass shatters as sparks spray across the floor. Obi-Wan rallies with a sharp counter, angling his blade to slash at Maul's flank. The Sith snarls, twisting away, then drives a boot into Obi-Wan's chest. The young Jedi stumbles, hits the floor. Maul does not hesitate. He turns, stalking toward Shmi. She tries to flee, but Maul's hand snaps forward, the Force yanking her off her feet. She screams as she's dragged across the floor and pulled right into his weapon. Obi-Wan forces himself up, fury in his eyes. He lunges, blade high, but Maul anticipates him. With a flick, one half of his saber cuts low, piercing Obi-Wan's side. The Padawan staggers, choking back a cry, before collapsing to the ground. His weapon clatters beside him. Maul lets him writhe, savoring the pain before driving his blade across his waist. He extinguishes his weapon, the room falling. Then he vanishes into the Mandalorian night, leaving blood and grief in his wake. With the death of Obi-Wan and Shmi, the identity of the missing boy will remain a secret to the Jedi. While they certainly have a description, Palpatine has hidden the boy far from him and can twist the narrative to his favor. Though the Jedi now believe a Sith Lord is out there, they have no idea just who it might be, leaving him to continue to plot his rise to power. This time, though, he will have the ideal apprentice ready to replace those fools Dooku and Maul when the time comes. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.